Okay, so don't mind the hair. I just woke up. But the other day I was watching some videos on FaceTime with a friend of mine, and they were, crime videos, and this guy popped up. Okay, unpredictable, and I was looking at him, and some of the videos sound interesting, so I want to check this one out. How a millionaire father murdered his whole family. Let's go. And we even get the little content advisory thing, so it's gotta be.
For as long as the South Carolina Lowcountry can remember, the Murdoch family have always been tied to power and prominence.
Murdoch.
As the son of 3 generations of district attorneys, Richard Alexander, or Alec Murdoch, had big shoes to fill. The Murdochs had risen to prominence around 100 years ago when Randolph Murdoch Sr. created his own law firm and was elected circuit solicitor for the state's 14th district. Then his son was elected, and his son after that, leaving Alec Murdoch with a clear career path. Then his son was elected, and his son after that, leaving Alec Murdoch with a clear career path. But despite coming from a long list of high-profile lawyers, Alec was described as a loud and frenetic lawyer.
Jesus Christ, why do they have that look on their face? I don't know. This being a little judgmental, but they look kind of scary. Like, am I the only one getting that kind of vibe right now? You know what I'm saying? It just seems like that guy in the middle. I don't like the way he's looking at me.
Able to keep his clients not because of his education or competence, but because he had a charming and persuasive tone, a theme that would come up a lot in later years.
It's never about competence.
For now, let's focus on his family. Alec, the second youngest of 4 siblings, had met his soon-to-be wife, Margaret, or Maggie Branstetter, while studying law at the University of South Carolina. Naturally, Alec had joined his family's law firm as soon as he was able to, as it was known to be the best in the region. Sources say they could turn a $100,000 case into $1 million settlement. They would send gifts when people graduated, pay for funerals, and visit people who were in the hospital. It's safe to say that their influence in the region ran deep. The Murdochs were basically authority in the Low Country. In 1996 and 1999...
This is all South Carolina? Okay, so we talking the South? Okay, the South, plantations and that, okay.
The couple had 2 kids, Buster and Paul Murdoch, both of whom enjoyed the wilderness in 1999.
Alex Murdoch and Maggie.
The couple had 2 kids, Buster and Paul Murdoch, both of whom enjoyed the wilderness and shooting at their family's hunting lodge, just outside of town. The family was both loved and feared by the small town of Hampton, but as you'll soon see, members of the Murdoch family were capable of dangerous things.
Like what? What were they capable of? Chapter 1, nowhere to go but down. Okay, let's go.
On February 23rd, 2019, 3 couples, including Alec's son, Paul Murdoch, gathered at the family's river home to go to what they called an oyster roast, a traditional low-country activity where people roast oysters over a fire.
Okay,
Paul, being underage, had used his brother's ID to get alcohol a few hours earlier. Even before the group had started making their way to the oyster roast, Paul, as well as the others, had already started drinking. In fact, Paul was known by his friends to go all out when he drank, usually becoming so drunk that he would become aggressive. But despite being underage, it's said that his parents had facilitated...
Wait, I wasn't saying okay. I was trying to hype up about the fact that he goes crazy until I heard that he gets aggressive. Because if he gets aggressive, he could do some dumb shit. So I'm not all about that. But if he's getting wild.
Drinking, sometimes giving him alcohol or letting him drink with them. Nevertheless, after meeting up, the friends took the boat and started making their way to the oyster roast. In a deposition later given by one of the people on the boat that night, the decision to take the boat was to avoid the police that would be on the roads during the night, since they were drinking underage.
Damn, they traveled a far distance.
They hung out and promptly left around midnight, but it's said that Paul and Connor Cook, one of Paul's friends, had wanted to make a stop at a bar before heading home. The rest of the group had voiced their objections about the plan. It was getting cold and late, and most just wanted to go home. But Paul had allegedly said that he was going to get a shot no matter what. So around 1 a.m., the group arrived at Luther's bar, where Connor and Paul walked into the bar and consumed even more alcohol, while the others waited for him.
Wait, but how is Paul walking into a bar and getting... how is he just getting alcohol? Does he look smack like his brother? I'm telling you, all of these motherfuckers look smack like each other. Bro just shows up, gives a fake ID of his brother, and they don't even question him about it. They just give him alcohol. What?
Friends later recounted that Paul became out of his mind drunk. But despite that, Paul had still wanted to drive the boat home, and no matter how much his friends had objected or suggested alternatives, Paul is said to have been stubborn that night, and so the group started boating their way back home. We were just leaving. We weren't going fast at all, but then it got to the point where we were going in circles and weren't going anywhere. And everyone started to argue with Paul because he wouldn't let anyone else drive. And I was annoyed because I had to work the next day, and everyone else wanted to get home, so it caused a lot of arguments.
Right.
But at this point, Paul had started acting erratically, speeding up the boat and not letting anyone else steer. He just got very mouthy with everybody. I yelled at him once and he just told me to shut the F up and sit the F down. Nobody else is driving my boat.
Sorry.
And as tension and fear grew among the group, the boat had accelerated into a piling under the Archers Creek Bridge, throwing most off the boat and into the water. In minutes, despite the strong current, most could swim their way up to shore, but when they did, they quickly realized that someone was missing. 19-year-old...
Okay, so... my guy's just driving recklessly. Okay, Paul, reckless as fuck. He had a few drinks at a bar. He got aggressive. Now he crashed a boat.
Mallory Beach, girlfriend of Anthony Cook, was nowhere to be found.
And now you lost...
Upon this realization, they quickly called 911.
What bridge is... Paul, what bridge is this? Paul, what bridge?
911, where's your emergency?
Yeah, somebody's mad. I can hear it in the back. You hear that?
Police fire ambulance? Hello?
We're in a boat crash on Archer Street.
Whereabouts on Archer Street?
In Archer Street, the only bridge on Archer Street.
Yeah, I'm hearing people like
Archer
yelling
Street?
in the back. You hear that?
Archer Street.
Okay. And then, well, who's that in the background?
There's 6 of us and 1 is missing.
Okay, there's 6, but 1 is missing. So 6, do you guys have life jackets on?
Yes, ma'am. We have more than enough life jackets, but we're on the bank.
So you're missing. Who's missing?
Female Mallory Beach is missing.
Okay. Where? Okay.
Yeah, she yelling, motherfuckers. Yeah. They scared. They scared, alright. I hear agony in that.
At this point, police had started to show up.
So we got 6 total, 5 accounted for. Yes, sir. Okay.
Wait, how badly was this boat crash if you can't find Mallory? I mean, how deep is that water? I mean, that probably would happen to me because realistically, I can't swim. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a good swimmer. So I could have been Mallory. For all we know, she flipped over, couldn't swim. Just something. Maybe got taken by the current.
Listen, man, my mom works for Sled. Okay, listen, that's cool. I done told you you're not in trouble. Do you want to call that? I need to call her. I need to call her. I said, there's 50 cops out here, and one of the cops was nice enough to let me call you. Mom, there's 50 cops here, Coast Guard, everything. We can't find Mallory. It's been 30 minutes, Mom.
Dang.
Hey, Ro, you want me
And that's the boyfriend, right?
Right there away from me.
Yeah, he talking about Paul. Look, he angry at Paul.
Get
Yeah.
that motherfucker right there away
I'd probably
from
be
me.
mad at Paul too. Motherfuckers get a few drinks, bro. They start acting up, man. They start getting a little too crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I'd be mad too. Motherfucker want to get my girl killed. You know what I'm saying? For doing some reckless shit. Yeah, the officer's trying to calm him down.
Let me try
I can hear him breathing. He angry.
that motherfucker ain't rusting fucking prison.
Damn.
That motherfucker ain't rusting fucking prison. Bro, you fucking smiling like it's fucking funny.
Damn.
My fucking girlfriend's gone, bro. You think it's fucking funny?
Sit down. And that's when he was going way too fast.
I don't even know. I finally got to the point I grabbed my girlfriend and put her in my lap in the bottom of the boat and was holding on with my eyes closed. The next thing I know, I'm in the fucking water and I can't find her, man.
Wait, you had to go in your lap? How the fuck she just get going like that, dude?
Y'all know Alec Murdoch?
Oh, yeah, I know that name.
That's his son.
That's so driving the boat.
Good luck.
But hours went by and Mallory was nowhere to be found, kicking off a search and rescue mission for local police and volunteers.
Yeah, you can tell you in the South. They sound Southern. Yeah, brother. Go get that motherfucking Paul.
For 8 days, dive teams, rescue boats, and helicopters went looking for Mallory, considering it a rescue mission. Until, on March 3rd, around 10 days after the initial crash, Mallory was found by volunteers around 8 kilometers downstream, deceased.
Damn.
According to officials, she died from drowning in blunt force trauma.
So she hit her head on a rock, probably.
Later, Paul was charged in court with 3 felony charges related to the death of Mallory, but was released on a $50,000 bail while awaiting trial.
Of course! Because his father's fucking Alex, I think.
Many say that this is when the downfall of the Murdaugh family had started. After discovering that Mallory was killed because of Paul's recklessness, many turned against Paul for his excessive drinking and his parents for their negligence. Depositions from various people on the boat that night seemed to incriminate Paul even more. A nurse who treated some of the injured had also said that Paul had been cursing, demanding, and had an attitude while at the hospital. And the public had started to notice the preferential treatment Paul was getting in court. He wasn't handcuffed or processed in a detention center. He wasn't given a sobriety test the night of the crash. He wasn't required to wear an ankle monitor or even barred from driving a boat again. At this point, the public was starting to...
He gets special treatment, man. He like the mayor's son, right? That what they were, mayors?
lose respect
like
for the Murdaughs.
Mayors?
But in 2021, things would change once again.
Okay, so it's going downhill, chapter 2. Rock bottom. Let's see what happened next. What happened with Paul and them?
Alec Murdaugh, as previously mentioned, had joined his family's law firm, PMPED, as soon as he was able to. His colleagues weren't particularly confident in his professional abilities, but he was always
you got a law firm named Pimped?
someone that was seen as trustworthy and charming. That's why when the company's CFO found clues that Murdaugh might be stealing client settlement money, she brushed it off as another one of Murdaugh's sloppy habits. In reality, Alec Murdaugh had opened an account at the Bank of America and called it Forge. So, unbeknownst to the company, instead of sending client settlement money to the legitimate company, Forge Consulting, as they would usually do, Murdaugh would take the checks and deposit them into his own bank account. By June 2021, the company's CFO became more and more sure that Murdaugh was stealing from the company, and so, on June 7th, 2021, they went to confront Alec about the suspicious activity. But that night, something happened.
Why do people do that though? Like, it seems like it'd be hard to get away with it, you know? So this is them confronting Alex?
Sir, I want to let you know because of the scene, I did go get a gun and bring it down here.
It's in your vehicle? Do you have any guns on you at all?
No, sir. It's leaning up against the side of my car.
Okay. You're fine, man. You're fine. Turn around for me.
On the night of June 7th, 2021, Alec Murdaugh had said that when he came home from visiting his mother, he'd stumbled upon his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul Murdaugh, dead with gunshot wounds. At which point, he'd called the police.
This is the firearm you brought from inside the house?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I went and got... This is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats. Most of it's been benign stuff we didn't take serious.
Okay.
You know, he's been getting, like, punched. I know that's somebody. I know that's what it is.
Okay. How did you pull up? You from back there?
I went to the house, and they weren't home, which was odd. I tried to call.
Okay.
And then I knew they had been down here before I left to go to my mom's.
Okay.
And so that is loaded.
Okay.
You might want to unload it. But I mean...
No,
they're dead, aren't they? They are dead, aren't they?
Just turn on those.
Yes, sir. That's what it looks like.
Randy.
Damn. Just lay down, huh? That's what it looks like.
At around 1 a.m., police started asking Alec what happened.
Just start at the top, take your time.
Like when I came back here, I mean, I pulled up and I could see him, and, you know, I knew something was bad. I ran out. I knew it was really bad. My boy over there, I could see it was...
Wait, why is he crying? So, is it fake crying? He fake crying? What fucking not even really crying? Or is he like really crying about what he just did? Like,
and
Like he feels sorry or something. You shot him in the face? You can see his brain? How did he murder him?
And I ran over to Maggie. And actually, I think I tried to turn Paul over first. You know, I tried to turn him over, and I don't know, I figured it out.
Paul was found near dog kennels, face down, with 2 shotgun wounds. One shot that grazed his chest and went through his left arm, and another that entered through his neck and exited through the back of his head. Maggie was found a few feet away with 5 assault rifle wounds.
I mean, I could see...
He gunned his own family down like that? You couldn't even like put pills in their drinks or something? Bro, you shot him in the arm? Bro, that probably was not a painless death. I mean, the shot through the neck and the head would have probably killed him quickly, but... Jesus.
Have y'all been having any problems out here? Trespassers, people breaking in?
None that I know of. The only thing that what comes to my mind is my son Paul was in a boat wreck a couple years ago, and there's been he was charged with being arrested for being the driver. There's been a lot of negative publicity about that, and there's been a lot of people online just really vile stuff, but
it was evident that a double murder had taken place, but there was no vehicle, no murder weapon found, or even a suspect description. Investigators, more specifically the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, or SLED, was tasked with making sense of all the evidence and clues, and that started with asking Alec Murdaugh his whereabouts during that day. During an interview 3 days after the murders, Alec had said that he'd started the day at work, before coming home a bit earlier than usual and then hanging out with his son, Paul.
For, just doing things we like to do out there. We're riding around looking at food plots, looking for hogs.
The family then ate dinner, and Maggie and Paul went to the dog kennels while Alec stayed behind.
And what did you do once Maggie and Paul left?
I stayed in the house.
Okay.
And I was watching TV, looking at my phone, and I actually fell asleep on the couch.
Okay.
After waking up, Alex said that he went to his mother's house, around a 30-minute drive, before leaving and coming back.
All right, so where are we? All right, so then I left
your mom's and making phone calls.
I left my mom's, and I went back home. I got to the house. I went inside. Nobody was there. I got in the car. I went back to the kennels, and,
A big piece of information early on in the investigation was that Paul Murdaugh had been getting threats related to the Mallory Beach boat crash.
How would he receive most of those threats?
What do you mean?
I mean, would people call and hang up on him, or send him text, or
it wasn't
social
so much
media?
It was mostly like in-person confrontations, are the ones that I learned about. Now, I suspect his friends can probably tell you about more, because I doubt Paul told me about all of them.
Okay.
But I knew about a lot of them. There were a lot of times where people would come up to him and he'd be like, they'd say something about, you gonna tell me who was driving that boat, or you little piece of shit, were you driving that boat? Stuff like
At this point, the Murdaugh's family law firm, now positive that Alec had been stealing money from clients, forced him to resign. Back in the investigation, SLED had been interviewing anyone who had a connection to the family, especially those who had a connection to the boat crash. But months had gone by, and SLED still hadn't arrested anyone, and with the sheer lack of information about the case, the public was getting restless. But not before the case takes another unhinged twist.
Okay. Caught in deep waters.
Around 3 months after the murders, Alec Murdaugh calls 911 again.
Okay.
Hampton County 911, where's your emergency?
You better not be turning yourself in like a dumbass.
Salkehatchie Road. Okay, what's the address on Salkehatchie Road?
I'm by the church.
What church?
In the call, he says that while trying to change a flat tire on the side of a road, a car had slowed down as if they were going to help him, but tried to shoot him instead. He was airlifted to a hospital and treated for a superficial gunshot wound.
He's a South Carolina attorney? I thought he was a mayor. So he's only an attorney? Like lawyers? Wait, what's an attorney? Am I stupid? Shot in the head 3 months after his wife and son were killed?
Recovered fully. This incident sparked debates over what enemies the Murdaugh family might have made since the boat crash in 2019.
Shot in the face for a
After all, there had been swirling suspicions about what role Alec himself had to play in the deaths of his wife and son. But before that could be answered, it was revealed that the person who tried to shoot Alec was a former client of his, 61-year-old Curtis Edward Smith. But in a bizarre turn of events, it was also revealed that Alec had asked Smith to kill him, a sort of botched suicide for hire scheme. Alec had believed that if he died, then his sole surviving son, Buster Murdaugh, could collect $10 million in insurance payments. Around this time, something that was gaining more attention was Alec's apparent addiction to opioids. According to statements from his attorneys, Alec had tried to get through the deaths of his wife and son by using opioids and oxycodone. But when he had tried to quit, he'd been launched into a severe depression and decided to end his life.
Was in a massive depression, realized that things were going to get very, very, very bad, and he decided to end his life. He believed that $10 million policy had a suicide exclusion. Suicide exclusions are only good for 2 years, and he didn't realize that. So he arranged to have this guy shoot him. Now, what's amazing...
Eventually, Alec, as well as the client he'd hired, was arrested and charged with crimes relating to the plot. Alec was of course released on bond, but with this, the public's opinion on the murders that had happened...
Always with the special treatment for these white fucks! Jesus Christ! Fuck money, and this money just runs everything here, bro.
A few months earlier had changed.
Let's talk about Meg and Paul here, Dick, because your client lied about the circumstances under which he was shot. It wouldn't be a stretch for folks to think that he probably also lied about the circumstances under which his wife and son were shot.
Those are some serious allegations.
Well, I've spent the last year and a half with Maggie and Paul and Alec. I represented Paul on the boat case, met with them dozens of times. They were very affectionate.
That's why, around a month later, in October 2021, SLED revealed that Alec Murdaugh was a person of interest in the murders of his own wife and son. But upon focusing their efforts on Alec, SLED discovered that his track record wasn't as clean as he'd portrayed, so much so that he was arrested that same month on new charges. Around 3 years prior to the murders, in 2018, the Murdaugh's housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield, had tripped and fell on the stairs of their house, later dying because of her injuries. Alec had lied about the circumstances around her death, saying that his dogs had tripped her to fraudulently obtain an insurance payout. And instead of giving the nearly $4 million payout to Satterfield's sons, he pocketed it and told them that a settlement hadn't been reached. These charges, however, were enough to keep Alec...
Fuck! That is evil, bro. That is fucking evil. No way he did that. There's no way. How do you pocketed $4 million of a bitch dying? Don't mean to say bitch. This is somebody who died, by the way. Let me be respectful. I take it back. I'm sorry. But, bro, you tripped her. Okay, so the dog story is clearly BS. Do not tell me that you pushed her down. Killed her. Tripped her down your own... No way. I just can't see that happening. How do you trip your own maid? You kill her? Blame it on the dogs? What, did they put down the dogs too? How do you make $4 million of somebody just dying by falling like that? What? What kind of legal shit do you have to go through to get paid $4 million for that? Nobody would get paid shit if that happened to me. What?
Instead of giving the nearly $4 million payout to Satterfield's sons, he pocketed it and told them that a settlement hadn't been reached.
Is that because she died at work? Is that what that is? Like, if you die at work, you can get a settlement? I think so.
These charges, however, were enough to keep Alec in jail, having been denied bond twice.
Yeah, good.
Later,
Fuck
his
that
bond
guy.
would be set at $7 million. However, all these new charges that Alec had received didn't take the public's attention away from the murders in 2021. Instead, it magnified his role in them. That's why, in July 2022, just over a year after the murders, Alec would be arrested and indicted for the murders of his wife and son, to which...
Damn, bro, he looks like he's been doing some drugs. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, why he really shaved his head like that? It don't really suit him. I don't know. He look a little crazy, you know?
Magnified his role in them. That's why, in July 2022, just over a year after the murders, Alec would be arrested and indicted for the murders of his wife and son, to which he pleaded not guilty. The trial began 6 months later, in January 2023.
This year?
First to take the stand were the first responders that came onto the scene, where the defendant, Alec's team, made it clear that police could have contaminated evidence on the crime scene, which in turn could have incriminated an innocent person.
The shot was made where he's basically standing, correct? In that area.
Where we are all standing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is that procedure to walk around on top of an area where shots have been fired? Perhaps, and I think even in this, they're talking about tissue or brain matter laying there. I mean, aren't you supposed to? You don't put anything on your feet.
But the most damning piece of evidence incriminating Alec Murdaugh was a Snapchat video that Paul had taken only a few minutes before his and his mother's murder.
No way.
Get back! Get back! Quit, Cash. Come. Quit. That's okay. Come here. It's not that bad. Come here, Cash. Shit. Come here. Post it.
Oh my
Get
God.
him.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Bubba.
Hey, Bubba.
That's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
Alec had always insisted that he had gone to his mother's house the night of the murders and came back to see that his son and wife had been killed. But the video shows that Alec was still there minutes before the murder, meaning he'd lied in multiple police interviews.
Mr. Murdoch, is that you? On the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th.
Oh, no. No, he didn't even think to, like, try to open up the phone. I mean, if you post something on Snapchat, he would have already posted it, like, instantly. And I'm guessing he would have maybe turned off his phone, and his dad wouldn't have known the password, so he wouldn't. So, like, if the phone had a password, he couldn't have gone into his phone and then deleted the video. Like, damn, he didn't think that bit through. Fuck.
7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered.
It is.
Were you, in fact, at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you lie to Sled Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them.
Alec, why did you lie to Agent Owen, Agent Croft, and Deputy Rutland about the last time you saw Maggie and Paul?
As my addiction evolved over time, I would get in these situations or circumstances where I would get paranoid thinking. It could be anything that triggered it. It might be a look somebody gave me. It might be a reaction somebody had to something I did. It might be a policeman following me in a car. That night, June 7th, don't talk to anybody without Danny with you. All my partners were just repeatedly telling me that. I had a deputy sheriff taking gunshot tests from my hands. And all those things coupled together after finding them, coupled with my distrust for Sled, caused me to have paranoid thoughts.
Former colleagues of Alec were also called to testify about his financial situation.
So the next thing that happened was on Monday, on June 7th, went to look for Alec, and when I got upstairs, he was standing outside of his office leaning on a file cabinet, and he looked at me with a pretty dirty look, one I'd not seen before, and said, "What do you need now?" Clearly disgusted with me, which kind of raised my hackles. So I said, "Well, let's go in your office and talk about it." When we went in his office, I told him, I said, "I have reason to believe that you received the Ferris money directly to you, and you need to prove to me that you did not." And he assured me again that the money was in there. I told him I still needed to see.
The prosecution ended their case by saying that Alec had murdered his wife and son because of a combination of stresses in his life, his addiction to opioids, an attempt to distract and delay the investigations into his financial problems, among other things.
The pressures on this man.
Whoa. Oh my god, Alex is a victim of an unspeakable tragedy. The community, formerly incensed by Mallory's death, rallies to his aid. Lee, Mark, and Jeannie talk and of course put off the first matter given off. What else? When I pay this focus on helping Alex, one of the first things Alex does after murders is get $750 to send money back to Chris Wilson, take care of his 6-figure overdraft. What the fuck?
Were unbearable, and they were all reaching a crescendo the day his wife and son were murdered by him. All on that day. And in the wake of this, everything changes. People stop asking about these things. The community has changed like you would expect. People are concerned, they're scared, they're worried. And everything's changed. The backlash from the boat case has gone away, and all of that has changed.
However, experts also testified that the bullet trajectories show that a short person had fired the shots, and Alec Murdaugh is 6'4". One big question in the case was why Alec didn't have any blood on his shirt, shoes, or even shorts.
Did you see what appeared to be blood on Alex Murdaugh's hands?
I did not.
On his arm?
No.
On his shirt?
None.
On his shorts?
No.
On his shoes?
I did not.
Some had said that this is proof that he couldn't have been the murderer, while others have said that he could have changed his clothes, but police have never found any of Alec's clothes that are drenched in blood. Eventually, on March 2nd, 2023, a little under 2 years after the murders, Alec was found guilty on 2 counts of murder and 2 more on possession of a weapon during a violent...
I mean, I kind of hope he did it, because, I mean, he's still kind of a scumbag anyway. I mean, like, realistically, I'm saying I hope he did it, because I had forgot that he pushed his own maid down the stairs and killed her to make money off of scamming the, like, bro, he's a scumbag. Honestly, he deserves to be in jail. Charge him for the murders anyway. Come on. Charge him for the murders. He deserves it, even if he didn't do it.
Wife, Maggie Murdaugh.
Although I'm pretty sure, thinking about everything else,
of the rest of your natural life.
He probably did it. He did do it.
For the murder of Paul Murdaugh.
You sick fuck.
With Alex sentenced to life in prison and his crimes unfolding the way that they did.
Wait, we saw the, hold on. Let's see. Prep. We saw what happened at the beginning there. He might have killed himself. He might have killed himself.
Family's fall from grace was one in slow motion, with one crime being revealed after another, magnifying his role in the deaths of his wife and son. What was odd about this case, though, was the lack of incriminating evidence found at the crime scene itself, and how Alec was able to fly under the radar for months before he was arrested. For now, Alec stays at the McCormick Correctional Institute in South Carolina.
So he's still alive. Okay. I'll fuck with that video. Damn, they really
At this point, police had started to show up.
So we got 6 total, 5 accounted for. Yes, sir. Okay.
That's cool. I done told you you're not in trouble.
Do you want to call that? I need to call her. I need to call her.
Yeah, we already watched that. Jail! Whoop! I think that's that, guys. The Mallory Beach boat crash. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know, do you think he did it? Do you think he's innocent, guilty? Either way, it doesn't really matter. It seems like he's kind of a scumbag, so he deserves to be in jail anyway. But, I mean, if he didn't really commit the crimes, at least that one crime about killing his fucking child and son, because I mean child and wife, because we've seen these situations where you have all kinds of variables. You know, his opioid addiction, him on oxycodone, you know what I'm saying, oxy, he probably high stress. I mean, his son involved in murder. He probably knows, he probably has that guilt of what he did to that maid on his mind. I mean, you know, maybe he didn't kill his wife and son, but he's in one of those situations where he's so shocked. You know, he's not fully here mentally that he's not even gonna like say, no, I didn't do it. He's gonna be like one of them people that are like, I could have done it. I could have killed him. You know? That like say that even if they don't do it, they're like, I could have, because they're just not here, you know? They're like, maybe that's why he's not like, you know, if I didn't do any of that, hearing that motherfucker being like, he killed him. Like, a motherfucker pointed at me and said he killed him and I knew I didn't do it, I would fucking scream. I'd be like, motherfucker, no, I did not. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I didn't see none of that. He just stays quiet. But who knows? Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it all the way through to the end, you're a GOAT.